discussing a massive gender gap that may well determine who wins the 2024 election. Men are going to vote for Trump. Women are going to vote for Kamala. The margin of each and whether Trump can pull more women or Kamala can pull more men may well be the ultimate decider. Tomi Lahren joins us now. She is a young woman who talks to a lot of young women for OutKick every single day with her show, Tomi Lahren is Fearless. Tomi, you buy into this theory that whichever of the candidates can peel more of their non-majority, right? Trump pulling more women or Kamala pulling more men may well determine who wins this election.
1,000,000%. And I hope that Trump has a strategy to win over female voters. I haven't seen this strategy yet. And we know that obviously his running mate being J.D. Vance and some of the controversial comments that he's had about women in the past, they've really come back to bite him, and that is going to stick with him. I don't think he's ever going to be able to get away from that. J.D. Vance isn't, and then by proxy, Donald Trump. So I want to see the Trump campaign bring out a woman. I don't like the idea of Nikki Haley, but listen, bring out Nikki Haley, bring out Tulsi Gabbard, let's get Kellyanne Conway back in there. He needs to have a strategy to win over women, and sometimes women need to see other women to be convinced. It's a sad reality, but the Trump campaign needs to do something.
Okay, so this is intriguing to me. Like, they're calling Tim Walz Coach Walz. He is a governor. He has not been a coach for 20 some odd years. That seems to me, and they're focusing on his military service, on the fact that he is a hunter, on the fact that he wears camo hats every now and then. It feels like they do have a strategy. I don't think it's a good one because I don't think Tim Walz appeals to that many actual middle-of-the-road voters. I think he seems very artificial. But what is the Trump strategy? You mentioned Nikki Haley. You mentioned Tulsi Gabbard. Who on the campaign trail do you think would connect in a really strong way with women? And how does Trump go about deploying them in your mind to start to have some impact?
I think he needs to get them out there, and he needs to be campaigning with them. I think he needs to send Nikki Haley to the suburbs and have her doing events, speaking on his behalf. I think he needs to have Tulsi Gabbard doing the same thing, advocating for him, because up until now, we've seen Donald Trump make inroads with young people, but it's been young men. You know, I'm a friend of Theo Vaughn. I thought the Theo Vaughn podcast was fantastic. But outside of me and my other Trump-supporting conservative friends, not a lot of women are necessarily tuned in to Theo Vaughn, and they're not going to take their electoral advice from Theo Vaughn or Joe Rogan or any of the men that are obviously doing well. So he needs to have a strategy. He needs to talk to more women, more female influencers. I think putting his granddaughter back out on the trail, where she had that wonderful speech at the RNC, that was fantastic. I know she's obviously pretty busy right now, committing to college, but he just needs to get women out there speaking on his behalf next to him at his events, because up until now, we really haven't seen that at all.
News, by the way, breaking. You probably have seen, Tomi, the gambling markets. This is no great surprise to you, but huge jump today in the odds that Tulsi Gabbard is going to officially endorse Trump just hit 97%. Much like we saw with RFK Jr. right before he rolled out his official endorsement. What do you think if this were to happen? We've had Tulsi on the show a lot. I don't know if you've had Tulsi on your OutKick show yet, but what do you think the impact of someone like Tulsi on the campaign trail could be?
So I actually have Tulsi on my show on Thursday, so I'm very excited about that.
Good
on
timing.
OutKick.
Very good timing.
Yes, perfect timing. Obviously, I will be asking her about all of this, but I think that Tulsi is a secret weapon because Tulsi effectively ended Kamala's first try at the presidency in 2019 in just a couple of minutes during that debate, absolutely eviscerated her. So Tulsi coming out not only as somebody who can help Donald Trump prepare for a debate, which we don't know if that's going to happen now, but having her out there as an advocate, obviously a Democrat, having left the Democrat Party, has the same appeal as an RFK Jr. It's all these Democrats coming out saying, listen, I'm a Democrat, but the Democrat Party is so wild and woke now, I don't even want to be a part of it, and I'm going all the way over to the Trump side. That's powerful. Tulsi will have a huge impact on undecided, so I'm really hoping that we get that announcement from her.
Okay, so my team is telling me Allie, can you pop up? Because you're telling me that as we are talking, Trump just brought out Tulsi Gabbard on the stage with him in Detroit.
Yes, that's what it looks like. Fox cut away, so we're getting confirmation on that right now. But it looks like it just happened.
Literally might have just happened as we're talking to you, Tommy. Trump is campaigning in Detroit, Michigan today. He was in Virginia earlier and at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in D.C. Here is Shelby Talcott saying, Tulsi Gabbard expected to formally endorse Trump today at the National Guard event. That is from Shelby Talcott, who is a reporter for Semaphore. Aisha Hasney just retweeted it. So, Tommy, this goes directly to what we were just talking about. Your interview with her on Thursday can make sense. And by the way, Allie, we can also reach out and see if we can get her on again this week as well here. But so you get Tulsi. If you get someone, like you said, Nikki Haley, and I know people out there say, oh, Nikki Haley, but she does have a lot of suburban mom appeal. That could start to maybe pull away some of those female voters.
Absolutely. I think Nikki Haley, as much as I don't necessarily like her, it doesn't matter. At this point, we need to win an election. So all of the conservatives and Trump supporters that get the ew and the ick by these certain people, I completely understand it. Listen, we're not voting for them to be our president or even our vice president, but them on the trail to help sway independence at this point is needed. I think that a lot on social media, conservatives and Trump supporters exist in this bubble where they think that they only need to appease each other and they're all voting for the same person anyway, so it doesn't matter. We need to reach across and get these people who don't pay attention to politics every day, but they don't like some of the things that Donald Trump says and does, and they're really angry about the abortion of it all. So having a woman out there, especially a former Democrat like Tulsi, big news, great. I'm so happy that he's going down this road, and I hope that he continues.
Okay, you just mentioned abortion. It's the elephant in the room. When you look at data, women 18 to 40, 18 to 45, whatever you want to say, who are of childbearing age, abortion is overwhelming for them, the number one issue. Men, I would say, even young men, Tommy, in my experience, abortion's like 7th or 8th on their issue. It doesn't connect with them in the same visceral way. How do you handle the abortion issue? Is Trump handling it well? What do you think he should be saying if he's going to try to peel away some of these suburban moms, some of these young, maybe conservative otherwise women, but they almost have become single-issue voters, maniacally focused just on abortion?
Well, J.D. Vance did it yesterday on the Sunday shows, which I was happy to see, that he said, listen, we're not going to sign a national abortion ban. If it comes to Trump's desk, which it never will, it'll be vetoed. And Donald Trump needs to say it. You know, he did put on Truth Social and maybe even Twitter that he was so great for reproductive rights and all of this. And I don't know how effective that's going to be. But just him in his own words saying over and over again that I will not sign a national abortion ban and being very clear about that, because the entire DNC, they put that on his doorstep saying that he was going to sign a national abortion ban. They've already set the narrative. So he has to be very, very clear that he will not sign a national abortion ban. And the conservatives that are clinging to this issue, I'm sorry, you need to get over it because we need to win an election. And that's the hard truth. You know, everybody wants this perfect conservative evangelical candidate that's pro-life. That's wonderful. That's not what you have, and it's never going to win an election ever again, at least, you know, in my lifetime. So let's be honest. Let's win an election, and let's have Donald Trump out there saying he would not sign a national abortion ban. That's the only thing he can do, but he has to address it head on.
Tommy, you're in Nashville. I go out, not as much as I used to, but when I'm out, and there are a lot of my wife's friends that we will interact with, for them, again, they're, you know, mother age, right? They're having kids. It's like nothing else gets through other than abortion. I think there are a lot of men and women out there with granddaughters, with daughters that are just militant in terms of supporting Kamala, that actually, if you ask them about other questions, disagree with her on almost everything. Is there a way to get them to focus on other issues? You just said how Trump should address it. What would you say if we got grandmas and grandpas out there listening to us with granddaughters? Same thing for parents. What would you tell them that they should have a conversation with? How would they broach that with their daughters or granddaughters?
Well, I would remind him of the number of young women who have been slaughtered by Kamala Harris's illegal alien dreamers that she's led across the southern border. That's what I would tell him. I mean, most of the victims of what these illegal aliens allegedly have been doing in our country has impacted young women. I mean, you can't even go running in Georgia without being attacked by an illegal alien. So, and this is going to happen more, by the way, for people that don't think it's going to. There's millions and millions of illegal aliens. So there's a pretty good chance that at least a percentage of them are not going to be great people. And especially those who evaded border enforcement altogether and are gotaways. They really don't want to be caught. So what are they going to do? How much havoc are they going to wreak in our country? Well, listen, they're going to go after young, vulnerable women. So if you support women's rights, you should support women's sports and not having men compete against them and being in their locker rooms and their bathrooms. That's an important one. But also you should support border enforcement because you don't want young women to be victims of migrant crime. So those are two right there on top of not signing a national abortion ban that would be very effective.
No doubt. And today we're talking about the 13 heroes that were killed in Afghanistan 3 years ago. The Taliban's completely taken back over in Afghanistan. Women can't even look at men that they're not either married to or related to now. They have to be wearing the burqas and everything else. You would think maybe the left in this country that claims to care about women so much might be willing to recognize what the left's abandonment of many different countries out there and support of people who've been attacking Israel actually leads to. That's not a bad point to be addressing either.
No, it's not. But the unfortunate part about some of these young people out there, they're actively in the streets supporting Hamas. So I'm not again super confident that they're really concerned with what the Taliban is doing. So that should be a no-brainer. Obviously, we shouldn't support terrorist organizations, but we saw outside of the DNC last week the Democrat base out there supporting a terrorist organization. So that's my concern. I do think that kind of hitting the domestic issues is going to be more effective because most people are concerned with what goes on in their own backyard and in their schools. For the moms out there, listen, you should be worried about what's happening in your kids' schools. You should be worried, even if you are woke and even if you do love all the social justice causes, you should care about the fact that your kid's going to come out of high school not knowing how to read and write proficiently. That should bother you. Let's end the woke. Let's get schools back to teaching people valuable life skills and life lessons, and then we can have a more prosperous America, even if you are a liberal. I think everybody wants that. Go back to how the liberals have decimated our schools, especially through COVID and remote learning. Never let people forget that.
Tomi, if people want to hear more from you, how can they find it?
OutKick.com, obviously, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, and then, of course, on my social media at Tomi Lahren. And it's always good to be with you, Clay.
No doubt. And you can also see Tomi on many different Fox News programs across the country. Tomi, thanks for making the time today.
Thanks, Clay. Talk to you soon.
For sure. Speaking of talk to you soon, you know who I talk to pretty much every day on text message, sometimes during the course of this program? My boys. They have a Pure Talk phone. In fact, I've got a 13-year-old who is turning 14 next month. The rule that we have tried to put in place in the Travis household that has worked so far is you cannot get a phone until you're 14. So 14 years old, get a phone. My 13-year-old, who will turn 14 next month, absolutely cannot wait to get his own cell phone. He says, "Oh, Dad, this is going to make it so much easier for you to communicate with me. So if football practice gets changed, just think how much better your life's going to be." He's a good salesman, my kid. When you're able to just text me and I can be like, "Hey, I'm getting out of practice a little bit early," or "Hey, we're on this field instead of that field." You won't know how to find me otherwise. Guess what? He's going to have a Pure Talk phone. And if I trust Pure Talk to save money and also to rely on being able to be in touch with my 16-year-old and my soon-to-be 14-year-old, I trust them for my family. You can trust them with yours. And you can also save a bundle in the process. Why not go ahead and get Pure Talk's 5G nationwide coverage, every bit as strong, as good as any other carrier out there, but you're saving 50, 60, sometimes more than that every single month for just $25 a month with Pure Talk. You get unlimited talk, text, 5 gigs of data, plus a mobile hotspot. For 10 gigs of data, just slightly more, enough to be on the web for hours every day of the month. Make the switch to Pure Talk. Dial pound 250 and say Clay and Buck. That's pound 250. You'll save 50% off your first month. Again, dial pound 250, say Clay and Buck to start saving now on your cell phone plan. That's pound 250. Pure Talk. Say Clay and Buck sent you.